will be a great wrestling podcast, and you can believe in that.
I knew he was going to do it. I knew.
This is OT3.
What is going on, everybody? We're back. We're here for OT3, episode 18. I'm Anthony, he's Matt, and of course we got the awesome producer, our man Paul. What's going on tonight, gentlemen?
How's it going, Anthony? It's been a long time, man.
It has been.
What's up, everyone? Just want to say that a demon is coming to SummerSlam. And I'm not talking about Kane either.
I like Demon King.
I don't. I like the other demon that's coming.
Who's the other demon?
King?
The other demon is Mr. Finn Balor. That's what's coming to SummerSlam.
Oh, interesting. Yes.
Well, I guess we'll talk about Raw, and then we'll move to SmackDown. We'll talk about those briefly, obviously. With this weekend being a stacked weekend in WWE between NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 2 and SummerSlam on Sunday, we're going to spend majority of the time talking about that. But let's talk about Raw and SmackDown and recap it a little bit to leading up to this Sunday and Saturday. Sunday, I should say, for Raw and SmackDown and NXT leading to Saturday. What did you think about Raw on Monday? What was the big takeaway for you?
The big takeaway was the debut of the demon persona of Finn Balor. And, a lot of people were complaining about it, like, oh, why didn't you save it for SummerSlam? All this other stuff. And I was having a conversation with our buddy our buddy James, and he brought up a good point. And think about where Finn has been doing his demon persona. Where has it mostly been at? Think about it.
NXT.
At the pay-per-views. What's the only way you can see the NXT pay-per-views?
The WWE Network.
How many people probably have never seen him in that persona?
And I think that's a huge deal because the average Raw or SmackDown watcher, that just watches on cable might not have the network.
So
and
this was a way for them to see, like, holy crap, what is it? I mean, I'm sure, half the people, probably 3/4 everyone in there knew what was going on. They all went with him when he does his little arms in the air and everything like that. But the other half may have not known what this was, and it was probably something real cool. And the fact he did is people probably didn't realize. It took me a while. I messaged you. He did a Joker gimmick with the writing painted on his side and everything, like how the new Joker, spoiler, in Suicide Squad has writing all over his body. Finn did that, and Finn has done that before. I believe was in ROH. He came out dressed like the Joker, or was it
I think New Japan.
Yeah, so it wasn't something new, wasn't something different for him. But a lot of people who didn't see this saw it, and it's probably like, whoa, what is this? This isn't the Balor that we know. And he debuted, and I think it was a great idea, thinking about the way James was thinking. I think it was a perfect thing to do for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree. That's the first thing I thought was for that everyday person that just watches the cable, Raw and SmackDown, and doesn't watch the network, or even, if they did, they might have just watched WWE main pay-per-views, might never have caught NXT, might never have caught the takeovers. So they didn't know about this Demon King persona of Finn Balor, and what he brings to the table, and that he's never lost a match as the Demon King. So I think as much as, I would have loved to have seen it wait to Summers as a Demon King, he has not lost a match. Yeah, he did.
He lost to Samoa Joe in the Steel Cage.
I'm sorry, yeah, it's Samoa Joe, his most recent one.
I remember when you watched it, you said he killed him.
That's right, and he hadn't lost a match till then.
Yep.
So he's lost one match as the Demon King. Thank you for that correction, Matt. Good call.
You're welcome.
But, the average person did not watch that and didn't get to see some of those classic matches that he was included in, and whether he was Finn or the Demon King in NXT. So it kind of introduced a lot more people, and now on Sunday it's not going to be like, oh, what's this? They're going to be like, oh, man, like, we know what's going on. And you could see even Seth Rollins, at first he was kind of like taken aback at, like, what do I do? And then he came into the ring and he's like, you know what? Let me stand up and show you that I'm ready to go on Sunday. So I think it was a great way to introduce it. I just feel like Raw as a whole, I know now I'm jumping off of Finn Balor, I feel like Raw as a whole kind of gave away a little too much to me. Like the main event especially, Roman and Rusev. Rusev threw every single move that he had at Roman Reigns, and Roman kicked out. Roman got out of the accolade. Roman time after time was kicking out of every move that he did. The high kick, the kick when he had him down. Like I said, the accolade, he escaped. He actually got to the ropes. I've never even seen one person actually try and do that. 90% of the time they usually just try and stand up and break their arms off his legs, to get it loose, not actually climb to the ropes. So I feel like they gave a lot away and now it just, to me, without giving, I know this is kind of giving up a prediction already for our SummerSlam as well, but what's left for Rusev to do to beat him? So I feel like this match should have took place weeks ago for him to earn the #1 contendership at the United States title, not the last Raw before. Now, the match was a good match. I will give it that. So it was a good way to end Raw, but I just don't like that they had Rusev and Roman Reigns square off before Sunday at SummerSlam and give away that match already only 6 days away from the big show.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you on that. Definitely, some more. I mean, going on with more storylines at SummerSlam. You got the New Day, the Club. Their rivalry looking pretty good.
Doctor?
Huh?
Doctor?
Doctor what?
That's what they say. Doctor? Doctor? You never
Yeah,
saw it? Have you not watched
Yeah,
Rune
yeah, no, I
Postaitis?
haven't watched it.
Yeah,
Just
it's
Big
a
E got his
serious
nuts
epidemic, Matt.
crushed. But another, that's been actually a really good build up. And there's another build up. A lot of people are, I think, under the radar. Is the Enzo and Cash versus Y2? Was it Y2KO? Jericho. I think
Yeah,
that
Jericho.
has the potential to be one of the best matches at SummerSlam.
Yeah, I think that match is going to surprise people. I've liked the build-up. I think that promo with them backstage with Tom Phillips calling him every name but Tom during that backstage segment was one of the best things on Raw this past week. Nathaniel. They called him so many different things, and I thought it was great. And it just adds more to their persona. And I think Enzo and Cass themselves are continuing to skyrocket, their stock. So I'm very much looking forward to those matches. And I thought, like I said, the build-up there was good. The build-up with Finn and Seth was good. Charlotte and Sasha has been good, but my biggest thing, was just having Roman and Rusev, because I've liked what they've done with Roman. I liked how they brought him out, because if you're going to get him to get any kind of cheers, you put him against a guy that's anti-USA. He's supposed to be, from Bulgaria, but he's he's supposed to be the Russian, prodigy type thing, that he fights for Russia, and now he's saying he's our U.S. champion, and it made sense. If they're going to try and push him as this next top face like they're doing with Roman, then you have to put him against someone where the fans are going to be like, this is for America, in the story.
And they've actually been booing Rusev
and they've been cheering Roman. You've actually heard Roman getting his name cheered. And the thing with Lana throwing her into the cake, his usual, you're just upset because the last time you saw her was on that website, like saying he mail it. He's been having good material, and he seems more comfortable on the microphone than he's had in past months. Now, I still like Samoan Badass Roman, where he just kicks everyone's, ass like he did during the
Triple H.
the lead up. Right, exactly. The lead up to WrestleMania.
Are we talking
But-
SummerSlam right now?
Yeah,
Okay.
Well,
I'm
no,
just-
I mean Raw.
this is Raw, but the match is leading into SummerSlam.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm excited to see where they go with that, and we'll talk more about how I think that match will go down on Sunday at SummerSlam when we get to that. The other thing, like I said, Sasha and Charlotte, it's been a decent build-up. Charlotte's basically saying, again, like she doesn't need anybody. She'll do it on her own. So I'm excited to see how that match takes place. And I think that...
Don't forget about Cesaro and Sheamus.
Yes, the best of 7. I thought that was a great concept to bring back. And it gives them both something to do, because I feel like they were kind of really lost in the shuffle with the draft in general and then just lately on Raw. So a big name left off, though. Drafted pretty high on Raw.
I was
Sami
thinking the
Zayn.
same Zayn. Where's Zayn at?
I don't... And then why introduce him against Sheamus? And then he beats Sheamus this past time Monday Night on Raw, and he's not on the card.
You know what's one good thing about Sami Zayn not performing at SummerSlam?
One less match to lose.
Yeah, you caught me. If James is watching, he's gonna kill me.
I mean, who do you face though? That's the thing. They used you saw that to even utilize Kevin Owens, and Jericho. They put him in a tag team match, which I think is great against Enzo and Cass. Gallows and Anderson against the New Day. I mean,
I think I'm gonna put a poll on Twitter for something.
okay.
What's more likely to happen next? Sami Zayn getting a win or James getting a Gallahorn?
Dang.
What do you
You gonna
think?
call him out like that on it? You gonna do that? He's probably not watching now. Probably just shut it off.
Paul, if you don't know what we're talking about, it's a Gallahorn is a gun in Destiny that we play, and James has still yet to get one. The game's been out for almost 3 years now.
Well, I think we covered most on Raw, right? So we'll talk about. Is that right? Was there anything else that we missed? Major points?
I think it's time to go to the better show.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was going to say. I read all these articles saying that Raw's been better. They have like Raw winning 3-1. I have SmackDown winning 3-1.
I mean, we all thought Raw has the best
I
roster.
thought since
Oh,
the first week.
you know another one we forgot to talk about since he is a superstar for Raw and some of the things been happening on Raw is Orton and
I
Lesnar.
was gonna hold that just for this because of them both being on. But yeah, we can. Yeah, you know what? How do we not talk about that? That was probably the highlight of Raw because not only did I love the whole Lesnar, Heath Slater coming out to you know, um, that was just a great. That was great to watch that. You know, Slater coming out there and saying, you know, I need this for my kids. And then for a second there, you thought maybe Lesnar was gonna be like, okay, yeah, you know what? Let's let him come into the ring. Let's talk. And he's like, I understand. I respect, you know, he didn't say I respect that, but he's like, I understand what you're going through, man. You got to put, you know, food on the table. But then in typical Lesnar fashion, he pulls the rug right out from underneath him and drops the bomb. And I'm not going to repeat what he said because I remember watching that. I was just like, oh, did he really just say that? But basically just saying he wasn't worried about his kids at all. And pursuing to let Slater know, walk out of the ring or you're going to keep pissing him off, as he said. And it led to him going to Suplex City.
I
But
tell you
Heath
what,
Slater's been very entertaining.
yeah.
And on SmackDown again, we'll talk about that when we move on to SmackDown, but been very entertaining as well.
But the thing with you know, with that feud with Orton and Lesnar was the first time someone actually came to Raw was Orton. And I tell you what, the camera angles were a good job because no one you couldn't see where Orton, where he was at, where he came from. He just dropped that RKO and then he was gone. And I love the build up they had where every superstar came down. They were all like, "Oh, you know, come on down here, you know, face us. You're on the wrong show." And Orton's just like, "Whatever." But did you notice when Orton ran through the crowd? I guess he was getting hit and stuff. He was like ducking his head and everything around the fans and stuff. But
Yeah.
it was literally an RKO out of nowhere. And he's been
Yeah.
taunting Lesnar week in and week out, doing his moves, doing his, you know, stuff, and it's starting to get to Lesnar, I think.
Yeah, I like to build up a lot. And with that, we'll move, you know, to more on Orton. I think that the way they're building it is they're making it. I think there's a real good chance that, you know, they're making it more believable that Orton could be the first guy to defeat Lesnar, you know, like do that. He hasn't really lost a match. He hasn't been pinned. You know, he's lost
Not
matches, but it was a triple
one-on-one.
threat match. Exactly. So maybe this is, you know, they're trying to make this that he could be the next guy to do it. And that RKO, since that on Raw, and then you had Lesnar come out in F5 on SmackDown the following week, you're kind of seeing a little bit from everything. And like you said, Orton's doing the suplexes to this past SmackDown, and then doing like the jumping back and forth like Lesnar does before he gets into the ring. He's doing everything he can to try and taunt Brock Lesnar. And some might say it's smart. Others might say it's dumb to you know, to poke him, you know, to poke the bear, for, you know, lack of a better term there. But it remains to be seen. All I know is that the 15 years. I don't. Have you seen those? They played it a couple times now on Raw and SmackDown. The package where it's like 15 years ago, and it shows them first showing up to OVW and then them becoming like the respective face of SmackDown and Raw when they first debuted as the rookies. Like how they were going to be the next big, you know, things on each of those shows, and just showing how they kind of kept elevating themselves. I thought it was fantastic, and I cannot wait to see that match. It definitely has the most, I think, buzz about it because we've never seen the match before, and it's crazy that it's taken, like they said, 15 years since they were in WWE together in '02. They had one match together on SmackDown, but it wasn't anything of, you know, it was a very quick match if I remember correctly, and I remember Lesnar won the match if I remember correctly, but it wasn't anything. It was before either of them were even big stars. They were still relative rookies in the making there. So huge implications, I think, for both of them, and I think it's going to be a great thing for SummerSlam. But I can't wait. And like I said, the whole thing with Heath Slater, again, continuing on SmackDown, you got to think there's maybe Heath Slater music hit during that match. I mean, obviously, I don't think it's going to hurt either of them, but I think it could be one of those things where he gets in the ring and then both of them just start like F5, RKO, and they throw Slater right back out of the ring and then they get back to business. So, you know, Slater continues to put entertaining stuff on Raw and SmackDown, and again was offered the contract by Shane and Daniel Bryan, but Orton had knocked him silly from throwing him through the announce table and just taking him all over the outside of the ring, that he called Shane beautiful and thought it was Stephanie McMahon, and then Shane was like, you know what, that's the final straw, and took the contract back from him.
Now, here's my question for this match. We just talked about Finn that, you know, we'll get to Dean and Ziggler. You know, for Wikipedia right now, a couple websites, they have that listed at the main event. Do you think that'll be in the main event, or do you think that'll be in between the two title matches?
My opinion, it should be the main event.
You think it should be the main event?
Yeah. It'll help because it's a cross promotional match. Raw or SmackDown isn't going last. Both of them are going last. And you're, like I said, arguably, I mean, you might, don't get me wrong, a lot of these other matches are going to be top matches. This card to me is WrestleMania
It's better
making
than WrestleMania.
matches. I think it's better too, but I'm saying these matches are just as good as this looks like a WrestleMania card with all the matches you got. And it is the second biggest show of the year. So I think Orton and Lesnar should close the show. I think that it's the biggest match on the card, and I think, like I said, it's two of the biggest stars in WWE of the whole decade, 2000s going forward. So the last 15 years, two of the biggest stars. So, and Orton's probably the number 2 biggest star behind Cena for this, generation.
All right. Let's move on to the SmackDown side,
Yeah.
and we'll just start with Ziggler and Ambrose, to where out of nowhere Ziggler won the was it the triple, what was it? No,
Six-pack
six pack
challenge.
challenge out of nowhere.
Mhm.
Everyone thought it was probably gonna be Bray or something. So you have Ziggler winning that, and then back and forth, you get a little, you're getting a little bit of both a heel feel, I think, from both of them. You're
Yeah.
getting Ambrose with, this week giving him the dirty deeds out of nowhere. You got Ziggler super kicking him out of nowhere. And the whole time you think Bray Wyatt's going to be thrown into this match. It never happens because of all the stuff he's been doing. So, I think the build-up's been there. But who do you really think, who do you see as a true heel in this match and face, or there really is none?
I think they're both, they're trying, I think, to not really give either way. I definitely don't think Ambrose would be the heel if they do a heel turn after the match. I think it's Ziggler and Ambrose are both just playing to the crowd and just kind
Is
of
it a
making it look
clean
like,
finish,
hey,
or does Bray Wyatt get involved again?
I think it's a clean finish. I don't think Bray Wyatt gets involved. I'll tell you where I think Wyatt gets involved when we talk SummerSlam
Okay.
a little bit later on. But I don't see it becoming a big deal. I don't think that either of them are going. I hope that it just becomes that the both of them have the match. It's a clean finish. Who walks out with a championship. Um, I don't see it being that much, but I did love what Dolph Ziggler said on SmackDown. I liked that feel he gave you in his in his speech that he gave to Ambrose, just telling him basically, "I'll show you that I am that damn good," all that kind of stuff. I know Mick Foley wrote it. He said it had a very Austin 316 feel to it. I hope that they continue to push it. I told you when they did this draft that I thought that Dolph Ziggler would be one of the people that benefited the most from the change to SmackDown, because he has so much untapped potential, and a guy that they've underutilized for so long that should have been a multi-time world champion by now if they would have kept SmackDown around this whole time, or even on Raw winning a title here and there, that they never used him. And I really think that he could strive and be a world champion on SmackDown maybe as soon as SummerSlam this Sunday.
All right, let's move to the next big match for this card, AJ and John Cena. And reality, we'll get the SummerSlam match. Really good build up. I mean, it's basically the best out of 3 series right now, with Cena reportedly taking time off after this. So, we'll get into the results for this. But I think the build up has been there, and it's always going to be there, especially with Cena putting him through the table this last SmackDown. We really haven't seen that, type of Cena come out in a while.
Yeah, I liked it. The week before I thought was kind of weak, because they did do the video package, but neither of them were on SmackDown, AJ or Cena, the week before. So I did like the video package. I liked how they continue to hype it up. Another match I'm very much looking forward to see this, the conclusion of this rivalry, as what we're thinking at this moment in time, unless they change it after this. But I'm thinking this is the final match between the two, since AJ won at Money in the Bank. Cena won the 6-man tag match at Battleground. Now you get one last match where neither of them have anyone by their side. It's AJ versus Cena, and it's just, it's them. No club, nobody's there. It should just be the two of them. So I'm looking forward to see how that match pans out. Another thing with that is, does the match end? Does someone get involved, since there is both shows there, even though they're saying no one's there? Do you think that maybe the club makes a run, or someone makes a run to cause interference to start the next feud, like you said, how you thought Bray might involve himself in the world title match? Does someone get involved here? So I think it's a clean finish.
For our SummerSlam.
Yeah,
preview.
but and then another thing that was just announced, and obviously we're going to touch more on who we think might replace this person now with the information coming out, was you got a 6 Diva tag match between Carmella, Naomi, and Becky Lynch versus Natalya, Eva Marie, and Alexa Bliss. Now, obviously, with the recent news of the suspension of Del Rio, Page, and now even Marie, that leaves a hole on that team. Do they make it a handicap match or do they add a third person? That remains to be seen. So we'll kind of see because that's all the divas on SmackDown were in that match. So we'll see if maybe a person returns, a person debuts, someone from NXT makes their debut, how they're going to pan that out, or maybe they just make it a 3-on-2 match. So I'm excited to see how that match pans out as well. And then the one other match we didn't talk about yet was the Intercontinental title
Because no
match
one knows
between
about it.
and that's I keep forgetting it, and to be honest, but I go back and read it, so I haven't seen a lot of the build up between the Miz and Apollo Crews. I feel like Kalisto and Baron Corbin have had more airtime on SmackDown, showing that him beating him up backstage, and you've seen Apollo Crews and the Miz have interactions for the Intercontinental title on Sunday. So I feel like that might end up
You know
being
what?
added
I
to the
see
pre-show.
they haven't announced it, but I can see Corbin and Kalisto being like
The pre-show.
yeah.
Yep, that's
So
exactly what I said. Yep.
so I guess it's time to start our back to Brooklyn predictions. You ready?
Yeah, let's talk about NXT a little bit. Um, this way we kind of lately you've seen the impact, no pun intended, of Bobby Roode in NXT and what he brings to the table. Obviously, he's going to make his debut at Takeover Brooklyn. We found out from the past couple episodes. I think it was 2 weeks ago. Samoa Joe and Nakamura have had some pretty. The last I didn't get to see NXT this past week yet, or I'm sorry, yesterday. So I'm excited to see how that went down. But I remember he was taunting him last week, and security had to break up the two of them. Now Nakamura wasn't trying to get physical with him; he was just trying to get in his head, and I think he's doing a good job of getting in Samoa Joe's head, leading into Takeover Brooklyn. And then of course we have Bayley and Asuka, which very excited to see how that match pans out. Obviously, with the impending arrival of her on the main roster, you have to think that Asuka might have one more, but maybe there's something up their sleeves with Bayley. Pulling one more match out and winning the title. So we'll see how that pans out.
But
Was there?
I was
Go
told
ahead.
this today. There's never been a repeat champion for the women's titles, so we'll see what happens.
No, not as women's side. Only person that's been well, actually, I'm sorry. The tag champs have been repeat, and now both of them have now because of Dash and Dawson.
Yep.
They repeat. So
All right, so you ready for it?
yeah, let's start with Takeover Brooklyn. Let's do it, man.
All right. So the first match I have here is Ember Moon versus Billie Kay, and I think I'm gonna let you take the lead on this because I asked you who Ember Moon was, so I'm gonna let you take the lead on this one.
All right. Ember Moon was known as Athena before she got her name here in NXT. I got to see her have a match 2 or 3 months ago, I'd say at least. I was at NXT. She was in a dark match before the taping started. What I got to see, I was impressed. She has some high flying ability. I think it's definitely gonna be a breath of fresh air because everyone was like, what are they gonna do with Bliss, Carmella, and Nia Jax all going up to the main roster, and obviously, like we've said time and time again, Bayley as well is on her way up as well soon. What are they gonna do with losing all this talent? I think the addition of Ember Moon is gonna be a huge get, and I think that it will not be long before she's challenging for the NXT Women's Championship. So I like Billie Kay too. I think she's been doing good stuff too, and you're getting to see a little more of her now that you're seeing like this next crop of the women wrestlers coming up. But Ember Moon's winning in her debut, and I think that a lot of people are going to be impressed to see what she's got.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go with you on this one, and I'm gonna go with Ember Moon just because I'm gonna be honest, didn't really know much about these two. I'm gonna take your opinion on this one, and I'm gonna go with those two. I mean, with Ember Moon.
Yeah, if you get a chance, YouTube Athena and take a look at her finishing move.
Okay.
So
All right. Next one we have on tab here is going to be No Way Jose versus Austin Aries. Now, Austin Aries, he debuted, beat Baron Corbin. Then he had to face Nakamura. You kind of knew Nakamura probably wasn't going to lose that match. So now here he comes back against No Way Jose. He completely did his heel turn by, attacking him and everything after they were dancing. For me, Austin Aries, I remember Austin Aries as the guy in TNA. All the
the
matches
greatest
he
man
put
that
on
ever
there.
lived.
Huh?
The greatest man that ever lived.
Yeah, all the great matches he put on there. For this one, I'm gonna go with my hunch. I don't see him losing 2 pay-per-views in a row. I like No Way Jose, his little Spanish Fandango, gimmick that he has going on. So, but I'm still gonna go with Austin Aries. He's, like you said, greatest man ever lived, and I'm gonna take him here, and I think he's gonna improve his NXT pay-per-view record to 2-1.
All right. Here's on the other side of the token now, and As much as I'd like to see Aries win because I'm a fan of Austin Aries, I feel like they're gonna promote one of their young up and coming guys here in NXT, and I think that No Way Jose is gonna get the win. Um, I'd like to see Aries win. That's my personal preference, but I feel like No Way Jose, with the way they've been building it up and trying to show like that No Way Jose isn't just about dancing. He has this other, ruthless side to him when it comes down to business. He can get it done in the ring. I think that No Way Jose picks up the win, and it's going to be a good match, though. I definitely think that it wouldn't surprise me if Aries does get the win, but my prediction is No Way Jose.
All right. All right. So you picked No Way, and I took Austin. All right.
Yeah, there we go. We're on
So here we
opposite sides there.
So let's move up to the next one I have here is a TNA tag team titles match between the Revival, who won it.
TNA.
I said TNA, didn't I?
Golly.
I'm getting fired by Triple H. NXT tag titles match versus the Revival and Johnny. You gotta help me out with these names.
Johnny Gargano.
And Tommaso
Ciampa.
There we go. I would be straight up. I don't see the Revival losing to them. I feel like there's another tag team further down the line that could beat the Revival. I see them carrying the NXT tag team division, I think, for until another takeover event. They're the premier team there, of course, for American Alpha getting called up. I just don't see the Revival losing. They're a strong tag team. They're a great heel tag team, and I got them winning this match.
I like Gargano and Ciampa a lot. I don't know if you got a chance to watch their Cruiserweight Classic match between the two of them. Did you get a chance? Man, what a match.
Yeah.
Seriously. What a fantastic match. I just don't see them, like you said. I think right now it doesn't make sense for them to win. Now, I could see the Revival. I think the Revival are winning. I could see the Revival winning in like a dirty way, so this way they could set up a rematch. But I think that these two need more of a, go as a tag team now that they're full-time NXT talents and they're not taking any more indie bookings. They're only in NXT. I'd like to see them get a little more under their belt here in NXT with them being on weekly television every week and having another takeover match or maybe winning the titles next time. But like you said, I can see another team doing it. The team I see maybe doing it next, TM61. I like them a lot. But definitely interested in seeing how it goes. But my pick is, I agree with you. I think the Revival, they're a very old school feel to a tag team. Best heel team they got. Authors of Pain are up there too. But I feel like with overall work, I think the Revival right now is the most complete team in NXT.
All right. Okay, now we move up to the debut match of Mr. Bobby Roode versus... God, why can't I say these names? Help me out here.
Just read it.
Who is it?
Andrade?
Say again?
Andrade, right? How you say it?
Yeah, Andrade.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Andrade's
Andrade.
debut match was incredible. His finisher, the little kick in the turnbuckle, I think is amazing. It looks great. But once again, another debut guy I can't see losing his debut match in Bobby Roode. For that point being, every time we see someone make a debut in NXT, they haven't lost a match. You can, Nakamura never lost, Austin Aries didn't lose, and the trend's going to stay. It's not that nothing against him, but it's just Bobby Roode's debut match. You got to make the new guy look strong, and I got Bobby Roode winning this match in a clean fashion.
Glorious.
Yes.
I mean, I don't really have much to say about it. I 100% agree. I don't see why you have him losing his debut. I like Andrade, as well as you said. I think that he was very impressive in his debut. I think he has a lot to continue to bring to the table, and I think that this is a feud we might see continue past this one. I could see this one going 15, 20 minutes, but I think Roode gets the win in his debut, and it's nothing against Andrade. I think that he will 100% have a great showing again, and I hope I'm pretty sure that's how you say it. Now you're making me question if we're saying it right, but I know he was La Sombra when he was in Mexico, and that's why definitely impressive to see that he's here now, and him and Roode. It's just crazy to look at this NXT card because a lot of these guys, and probably majority of them, were not signed to NXT and then became development. They were somewhere else and came here to NXT. It's just showing you how NXT continues to grow and grow. And despite the draft, how everyone thought, oh man, what's going to happen? They're still going to put on great shows. So, yeah, I'm going to move on from that with a glorious one more time.
All right, here we go. The women's championship match. We have Asuka versus Bayley. I am going to go with Bayley on this one because I think they're going to set up they both won a match. They're going to set up the best out of three. And then I think that's where Asuka is going to win the title back. And I think that's when we'll finally see Bayley debut on the main roster. But I'm gonna go with Bailey, and I think they're gonna set up almost a best out of three series.
I'm gonna disagree with you. Just because if Asuka loses, then you gotta have at least two more matches because then she'll win. Then Bailey's entitled to another rematch. So, um, unless they have Asuka, unless like your idea if Bailey wins and then Asuka gets a rematch on NXT and wins it before the next takeover, I could see that happening. Similar to like what they did with Kevin Owens, how he had his last match at Takeover Brooklyn and
Well,
then
I could see Bailey coming out and saying, "Look, you get your rematch, and this is it. I don't get any more rematches. We've each won one. This will be it." And it's almost gonna be like, with the Samoa Joe thing, the end, something like that, where we saw the end of an era with American Alpha, all of them, and I think this is where
yeah,
we're gonna see the same thing.
it's possible that it happens, but I'm still gonna stick with Asuka winning the match. Um, I don't know who they're gonna have beat her. I really don't. If Bailey doesn't, I know there's a lot of Ember Rose is someone that's coming up, but there's really no one credible that's there other than Bailey and Asuka that have been there for a little bit now. A lot of them are still trying to get more under their belt. So I'm
Well, if
wondering
Nia
what they're
Jax
gonna do
can't beat her,
next.
it's almost like who
Yeah, and
can.
that's the one I would have had beat her. Now they had her lose to her. They had Nia Jax lose, and then Nia Jax got promoted now too. So it's like Alexa Bliss, Carmella, the next two people that were probably the next tenure
They
there
went
in
up.
NXT. They're up. So it's a lot of newcomers, and I think Asuka's going to lead it. But I think that Bailey is going to stay a little bit longer to help them. So I'm I'm going to go with Asuka, but your point definitely has validation to it of why you would think that. So I understand why you go there, but I'll stick with Asuka.
All right, here we go. The main event of the evening, the match we're all looking forward to, the NXT Championship match between Shinsuke Nakamura versus Samoa Joe. And I hope they have Corey Graves call this match because I love when he calls Nakamura's finisher out. It's probably the best thing in wrestling when he yells it out. Probably not though,
Oh,
but
I don't know about that, man. What about
what?
my boy Moro? Mamma mia.
You know what? I love Corey Graves' and stuff with NXT, and I hope he keeps on doing the stuff that he does in the main roster, which he's almost starting to sound like a heel a little bit. But besides that, I thought about this match for a while. You got Joe the champion, you got Nakamura, relatively only been here for less than a year, obviously a couple months. I'm gonna go with Nakamura, and this is my reason why. When's the last time we had a Japanese WWE superstar hold a major title here?
Oh,
Ever?
I can't
Probably,
even think of one.
probably when Paul was watching wrestling, that was Yokozuna.
And Yokozuna is also part of that Samoan
He
lineage,
is, but
remember?
he was technically
Yeah.
also from.
I don't think he actually is Japanese at all. I think his character is just
Are
Japanese.
you sure?
I'm pretty sure
I
because
just
he's
sound like
part
an
of the
idiot on
Rocks
air.
family. No, because I always had that misconception too until I watched it. I would Google it if we have a chance here. But I want to say that he's definitely part of the Samoan family, the Rocks family, like all Roman Reigns. That's all the same family. So I want to say that it was a common misconception. Now, storyline wise, he would have been um, the champion, but I think his actual lineage was Samoan. Don't quote me on that. I could be wrong, but I want to say I'm pretty confident in that.
All right, I'm gonna look it up now while we're talking
While
about the
you,
match.
yeah, while you look up that, but I agree with you on that. That
I'm
would
I'm
be
gonna go with Nakamura. You see the whole movement of Japanese wrestlers coming here from New Japan and whatnot, and what a better way to have it than to finally put over someone who came from Japan, someone who was born in Japan, born in Japan, came up through New Japan. What better way to show that WWE is developing than to giving someone outside of the U.S. a major title? And I think this is a great opportunity to do it. Nakamura has the ring skills, the mic. I think he's finally getting there. It's going to take him a while, obviously, because I think he has to learn a new language and whatnot. But I think this is a great opportunity for WWE to, even do more publicity. Can you imagine the kind of stuff they're going to get in Japan if Nakamura wins this
always a
title?
huge deal in Japan, man. Huge deal.
It's going to go crazy. So nothing against Joe. I like Samoa Joe. I've always, I've watched him since his TNA days, but I got Nakamura winning this match.
Yeah, unfortunately, I have to agree with you. I think Nakamura is going to win. He hasn't lost, you know, he's won pretty much every big match he's been in. Nothing against Joe as well. As like you said, I'm a huge fan of Samoa Joe. He's probably my favorite there in NXT. Um, but I think Nakamura goes over. I think that they're going to continue his rise to, fame. They're going to have a rematch at the next takeover, I'm sure, between the two of them. And then I see Joe getting the promotion next for the male side of the roster. So I agree with you. I think that it has every capability of being one of the better, probably maybe the best match, if not one of the best main events they've had in recent memory, because you're going to see two different, very unique styles that the two of them have. So I'm excited to see how that match goes on because it's not something that at first when I read it I was like, that's a pretty big difference. And then I'm looking at it, I'm like, you know what? This has a chance to steal the show. I mean, it's the main event, I know that, but these two could tear the house down.
Okay, you're right. He's just straight up is from the Samoan family, so that's
Yeah,
my fault.
it's
I'm
okay.
sure a lot of people get it confused.
Yeah, no, it's like I said, I had recently, you know, seen that somewhere.
I
So
apologize.
I'm actually quite curious. I don't know if we'll be able to pull it up right now because we're going to continue talking about this and other, SummerSlam next. But who the last Japanese-born champion was?
I'll look it up. I'll look it
World
up.
champion, I should say.
World champion?
Yeah,
I
world
was gonna say
champion
any
because obviously I
champion. The
know
only thing I can think of would be
Tajiri.
Tajiri.
Yep, Tajiri, and then I want to say way, way back. We're talking over 30 years ago. There was another wrestler that was, and I can't remember his name right now.
I'm looking it up. All right,
Yeah.
so we did that. So I think it's time to move
All
on
right, let's
to
before we move to SummerSlam, match of the night.
for NXT.
Yes.
Uh-oh.
It's tough.
Got him
Asuka
stumped.
and Bailey.
I like it.
And what about you?
Match of the night. I think Joe and Nakamura. I mean, I know you don't like to use the main event as what could be the match of the night, but I really think that they're gonna shock people. I think that you're gonna get more than you're expecting out of that match. Very well could be a 30-minute main event. And then last thing, star of the night.
Star of the night. Austin Aries.
I'm Bobby Roode.
All right.
I can I can go with
The
that.
last, I'm looking at the history of the WWE Championship, and the only Japanese superstar I see here is Antonio
And
Inoki,
that's exactly who I was thinking. And that's a
November
while
30th,
back, right?
1979.
Yeah, I was gonna say over 30 years ago. Yep, Antonio Inoki. That was who it was. He recently got inducted to the Hall of Fame in the last 5 years or so, I think. And I knew that that was the last person I could think that if ever won the world champion was him. So, yeah, no, it would be a great feat to see. And I don't know if you read this too, but actually, I'm sorry, you the one actually tagged me in it. But James Storm recently finished up his TNA commitment, and he's saying maybe I'll return to team up with an old tag team partner. So do we see James Storm back in NXT again? Considering he left the first time when he never should have, and he thought he was doing, and then Rude ended up leaving and coming here. So maybe he'll be here now, and it's
Well, we'll see how Triple H feels about him going back the first time.
yeah, we'll see exactly. So
All right. So,
I know it was a money thing, but we'll see how that goes down.
ready to
with
move
that.
over?
Yeah, let's move on.
All right.
Paul,
I'll
did you
announce
have
the
anything?
matches.
I know. You know what, Paul? I know you watch New Japan. Did you ever get to see any of Nakamura's stuff in New Japan?
You know what? I did, but I don't. I mean, I don't really remember. I saw him. I did see him wrestling, and when I first saw it, I didn't know who he was. But then just after talking about it with you guys, I'm like, oh, I did see a match of his or whatever. So, and there was something where like, he had wrestled, and then there was like a younger wrestler, and he was just like in awe of of Nakamura, and he was like over praising him and like thanking him for something or something like that. I guess maybe he lost Nakamura might have lost the match or something like that. I don't quite remember, but I did see a couple of of his matches.
Yeah, he's a big and that that's a great thing even for the not as Paul is not a casual fan of wrestling, but you could see that even from watching that one thing, you could see that how big of a deal he is to the wrestling community, Nakamura, and that's why it'd be a pretty big feat for him to become the NXT champion on Saturday night at Takeover.
All right. So what we're gonna do now is for SummerSlam is I'm gonna say the matches. I have them all lined up right here, and since I started the NXT one, you're gonna start off with your comments first. All right.
Okie dokie.
All right. So here we go. SummerSlam, the biggest party of the summer, probably better than WrestleMania this year. The first match we have on tab was a 3-on-3, but now it is a 2-on-3 handicap. We have Carmella, Becky Lynch, and Naomi versus Natalia and Alexa Bliss. And if you have any kind of seizure issues, please do not watch Naomi's entrance because it's nothing but neon lights and crazy lights going on there.
First of all, entrance awesome.
Yeah.
Love it.
What Beckles?
I'm very on the fence here with this match because I don't know if they're gonna add a third person. I'm still waiting on that information. I mean, it says Eva Marie is suspended effective immediately. She's not gonna be at SummerSlam. That's my understanding from what I read.
Why is she
Um,
suspended?
she says wellness. It doesn't wellness violation, which means she tested for something when they do the random drug test. You don't know what yet.
Uh-huh.
Um, we'll wait to see what it ends up being. It could be something. It could be a miss. It could be a miss thing. It could be something. That was right, but they usually don't release it right away. You'll end up finding it out once the testing goes through. But like it just went through to, the 18th today,
Mhm.
the suspension. So usually it'll take a little bit till it comes out to what it was before someone gets their hands on it, or they
Gotcha.
release it because usually the wrestler releases what it was sometimes. But um, if they do add a person, I think that Carmella and Becky Lynch tag team partner is Nikki Bella. I
Well,
know
no,
it's a
Naomi's
little.
on their team, so
I'm sorry, Naomi. It's the other team.
yes, Natalia and Alexa Bliss are.
That's what it was. That's why I had the biggest issue because when you last saw Nikki Bella, helps me now at WrestleMania, she was a face cheering with Brie in her final match. The Total Divas team. They weren't getting booed, but she was a heel, so it makes sense for her to come back as a heel. But for her to come back after so long, she might get that fan response to where she's getting cheered. So it's a hard sell. That's
Hmm.
why I put her on that team. But obviously, it's Naomi, Becky Lynch, and Carmella versus Alexa Bliss. And
Oh,
who
you
am I
know who I
blanking
didn't
on?
think about?
Who am I blanking on here? Alexa Bliss and
Natalia,
Natalia.
Dana
Jesus.
Brooke.
But she's on Raw. You think she's going to switch shows?
I mean, just for one match, why not?
That makes sense too. If Nikki Bella doesn't end up returning and they don't want to use her in that heel that heel way right away, I could see him using Dana Brooks and she doesn't have she's not allowed to be at ringside with Charlotte. It gives her something to do as well. But is this maybe where Melina finally returns too? They've
Oh,
been talking that she's been in contract negotiations, for God knows how long now.
that could
But
be
how does
good.
that work? It's just such a hard match for me to tell, like, because I feel like if they have a person debut or return as their teammate, that team's going to win. That's 90% of the time what happens. With these kind of matches where they don't have like one of the people announced. Even beforehand, I think Eva Marie's team was going to win because I think they were going to have Eva Marie get the pin since they've been holding her debut off for this time and so long.
Well, now she has to wait 30 more days.
Exactly. So, um, I'm going to go with the team of Alexa Bliss and Natalia to win and their mystery partner, or if it ends up just being the two of them.
I'm
What
gonna go
about
with
you?
Carmella, Becky Lynch, Naomi. I feel like Becky Lynch needs to get the push. She deserves to be the number one diva on SmackDown. I think this is how you started off. So I'm gonna go the opposite of you.
Fair enough. I think Naomi is underrated as well. Her in-ring ability is very good too. So I'd like to
She's the
see.
one dating one of the Usos or married one of the
Yeah,
Usos, isn't
she's
it?
married to one of the Usos. Yep. So I'd like to see what they do with her because I think she has a lot of. But to be honest with you, the five girls in this match, all five of them are very talented, and I'm actually excited for the SmackDown. You know, uh, the SmackDown divas that they have. So I'd like to see who the sixth one is going to be if they add one, especially if it's a returning superstar to see a returning diva, I should say, added to the fold to make another person in this, divas locker room on SmackDown. So that'll be interesting to see. But I'll let you continue with the next match, Matt.
All right, the next match we have on file here is the first match of the best of seven series: Cesaro versus Sheamus. I'll let you take it away, buddy.
First off, I'd like to say that I'm excited to see. Um, sorry, I was checking the chat. So someone wrote us, so I want to see what they said. But I'm excited to see that best of seven series return. I haven't seen something like this since I think the last one I remember was Cody Rhodes and Booker T. Does that sound right?
I think that does sound right. Yep.
Right? So I'm excited to see these matches return um, in any shape or fashion. Like we talked about earlier, it gives both of them something to strive towards because they really kind of got shuffled. They lost in the shuffle. And he's especially Cesaro. Sheamus, he had a couple world title reigns. He's done a lot in the WWE. It's not as big of a deal. I'd still like to see Sheamus given something, like the upper mid card. But Cesaro still hasn't gotten that shot yet with the world title. Hasn't gotten that shot in the main event picture other than a couple matches here and there. The last time I could think of him being in like the main title picture was Elimination Chamber when Randy Orton was the champion a couple years ago. And he beat Orton on SmackDown right before the Elimination Chamber. That's the last time he was really in the main event scene, like, for a serious, program. So I'd like to see him continuing, and I think maybe this best of seven series with Cesaro getting the upper hand in the seven will lead to that. And with that being said, I'm going to pick Cesaro to win match one of the best of seven series.
I'm gonna agree with you and go with Cesaro.
Oh, Paul doesn't agree.
No, I have a fat finger. It should have been this. There you go.
I'm gonna go with you. I'm gonna say Cesaro. I like what he's been doing, but for some reason with Cesaro, the comments he made about this being the political show, the SmackDown being the wrestling show. I feel like there's gonna be a stipulation at the end of this where a loser leaves or some. I don't know. For some reason, I feel like that's gonna come up sooner or later. Something. There's gonna be a stipulation somewhere down the road. But for the time being, I'm gonna go with Cesaro for this match.
Okay, I agree.
All right, next match we have up deck is the Intercontinental Championship with The Miz versus Apollo Crews. Anthony, take it away.
I really don't I don't know what to say about this match because they haven't given enough time to either of them. I mean, Miz was on Miz TV, but he wasn't talking about what he was doing really. It was more about it was Ziggler and Ambrose what it was about. The Miz's never-ending Intercontinental title reign uh, continues at SummerSlam. I don't think it's. I like Apollo Crews. I think he should be a champion sooner rather than later. But I feel like the way it's being built, they shouldn't just throw it on him right now. I feel like he needs more. Maybe have him, lose some. Maurice costs him the match somehow. She jumps up and distracts him, and then Miz wins or disqualifies him, and then at Backlash, Apollo Crews wins with a better build-up because it's just a SmackDown only pay-per-view a couple weeks later. Because right now, I'm not a fan of what I'm seeing.
All right, I'm gonna go with Apollo Crews on this one. Like we said, it's a new era, new people, new champs, and I think Apollo, for the start, is going to be then begin the night with a bunch of new superstars coming up to the main roster and get the win. So I'm gonna go with Apollo Crews and the new era getting one win for them.
All right, so look at that. Now you're breaking into the new era, getting some wins.
Yep. So here we go. Next match we have Enzo Amore and Big Cass versus Chris Jericho and Kevin Owens. It's all you.
You're throwing it to me already? Okay,
And
awesome.
you always, hey man, you started off.
Like I said, I love all four of these guys on Raw. I think all four of them are very entertaining. I think all of them and their individual talents are good. As teams, they're even better. From what you're seeing, this is such an unlikely pairing, especially after how you'd watch Owens and Jericho getting at each other at Money in the Bank, talking to each other and talking smack to each other even before that. So to see them team together now against Enzo and Cass will be an awesome match at SummerSlam. I'm very excited. I've loved the promos leading up to it. Even on the WWE Network, they posted something saying like you can watch it. And speaking of it, as Jericho will say, they're gonna get it. What is it? It. And it's just been classic Jericho lines, and Kevin Owens is feeding right into it, which is great. He's continuing that awesome. Like the chemistry between the two of them is really good, considering that they weren't a team as much as 3 weeks ago when they finally formed. And Enzo and Cass are white hot. So now let's get to the decision of the match. My pick is Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho win the match at SummerSlam.
All right, I respect that. Like we said, the build-up has been great between these two, especially the Enzo and Chris Jericho build-up. Two of the best guys on the mic right now in wrestling, if not the two very best. One and two, they can go back and forth. Kevin Owens also great on the mic, especially the first time, where Chris Jericho was trying to make up some funny guy and Owens called him out on it and all that. It was a great promo. But I'm gonna agree with you. I'm gonna go with Jericho for this one because I feel Enzo and Cass are due for a loss. Yeah, they lost, the first match they were on in pay-per-view, due to Enzo's injury or whatnot. But I'm gonna go with Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho. Yep.
So you're not going with the new era on this one, huh?
Not on. Well, Kevin Owens.
Well, yeah, Kevin Owens, but I'm
Half
saying
an
Enzo
era.
and Cass would have been the new era team.
I get half an era.
They're going to get it.
So the next match we have on slate, we have the WWE Tag Team Championships. We have the New Day versus the Bullet Club.
Well, let's call it what it is. It's Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston versus Gallows and Anderson. It's not the New Day. Arguably their best, their strongest and their best player on the New Day, Big E, is not there because he has ring postitis.
He's putting ice on his balls.
So is this where the New Day finally loses because they say Big E's the reason they won all their matches, and then Big E comes back and they break Big E from the New Day because he says it's obvious that I leave you two alone and you guys can't defend our titles, and they try and make Big E on his own, which they've talked about.
I think it's
Or did
perfect.
the New Day continue? Exactly. That makes sense to me, but the New Day aren't losing at SummerSlam.
You don't have them losing.
New Day is going to retain the tag team titles at SummerSlam. It'll clinch over the year mark for them with a win at SummerSlam, and I think Xavier and Kofi get the job done. Now, I think Big E will be there in some fashion. Obviously, he won't be wrestling, but he will be there.
I'm gonna disagree. I'm gonna go with the club, and I'm gonna go with a little twist for you.
All right.
Big E costs the New Day the match, and does a heel turn.
Splitting himself up.
Yep, I think these guys have been together for what, almost 2 years now.
Yeah, they've been together
The
for a bit
longest
now.
stable we've seen probably since
The
not
Shield.
even since shit, DX,
Since the Shield.
the Shield. Sorry, excuse me, the Shield. Probably the longest stable we've seen since then. And I think it's time for Big E to finally go on his own and prove what he can do by himself. As we can see, these guys are great as a tag team. You can keep Kofi and Xavier Woods together. That's fine with me. But I think it's time for Big E to go on his own. I see him coming in here and costing them the match, and Gallows and Anderson coming out on top and a win for the club.
All right. I could see it. Unlikely, but I could see it.
All right.
I think they
Nets.
have too much merchandise, man.
I like to think outside the box, sir.
All right.
Nets, we have the women's championship. We have Charlotte versus Sasha Banks. Dana Brooke is barred from ringside. Anthony, take it away.
Sasha Banks, all the way. The legit boss wins the match, and another great match between the two of them. But I think that Sasha, there's no need for Sasha Banks to lose the title this quickly already. I think it's time to let Charlotte's been in the title picture since basically she debuted. She was the first one from the Divas Revolution to really get a legit chance against Nikki Bella. And I think that it's time for her to maybe move aside, and it's time for the next person to get a chance at the women's title. And I see Sasha winning at SummerSlam in another classic match.
All right. And for me, I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to go with Sasha Banks. I don't think she's going to lose the title after winning it only a couple weeks ago. She's very high with all the officials back in WWE. She puts on great matches. And I'm going to go with Sasha Banks, and I'm going to go with Charlotte tapping out to the bank statement.
All
All
right.
right. Next one we have on is another
What's the
title
bank
match.
statement?
Huh? What did you say, Paul?
You said tapping out to the bank statement. Is that a move?
Yes, it's basically the cripple crossface.
Oh, okay,
Chris
gotcha.
Benoit's move.
That's a
the
good name for it,
Nets-
though.
The next match we're going with is the United States Championship match, and we're going to have Rusev versus Roman Reigns. Anthony, take it away.
Okay. Again, another match that had a lot of build-up leading up to, and then having even their main event on Raw this past week before the match on Sunday, where basically Roman was throwing everything but the kitchen sink, and he was still found a way to escape. With that being said, Rusev is going to win on Sunday at SummerSlam, but he's going to do something dirty in order to win. I've even thought that maybe you see something similar to how at WrestleMania when Stone Cold was, obviously they don't do the blood anymore, but was bleeding and passed out to the sharpshooter to Bret Hart. Maybe Roman continues to try and fight out of the accolade, but eventually just passes out, and that's how Rusev wins the match. But something's going to happen there. I don't see Rusev losing the United States title, nor do I think Roman should win it, considering he's coming off the suspension. Even though he didn't win the world title, you can give him a secondary title. I don't think it's time for that yet.
I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to go with Rusev, and I agree the same way. I think he's going to pass out from the acolyte. I don't think he's going to submit or anything. They're going to try to still keep him as a strong person, strong wrestler. But I'm with you. I think he's going to pass out from it. From the way Bailey, passed out from Asuka the first time they fight because they didn't want Bailey to be, seem weak or tap out. I think it's going to be the same way with this one.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's the best way to continue to promote him too into the, this dominant champion that they've made him.
All right, next up, we're going to have John Cena versus the phenomenal one, AJ Styles.
I mean, do I need to say any more besides my shirt, man? The man that's going to win the match is the phenomenal one. They don't want none. AJ Styles goes over in this match in an awesome, a phenomenal, dare I say, match between the two of them. And I cannot wait for this match. These last four matches that we're going to talk about are probably the matches I'm most excited for. But a lot of this whole card, like you said, is stacked. But these four matches that we're going to talk from this match forward could all be the main event of SummerSlam.
That could
They
be the
could
main
all
event of
main event. They
WrestleMania.
could all main event any pay-per-view. And we're getting to see all four of these matches in the same night. And you know who wins more than anybody? The fans. The WWE Universe wins more than anybody. So I'm going with AJ Styles, though, to win. I think Cena's going to have another great showing. I think AJ and him are going to put on another great match. I'm excited to see no interference from the outside, and let's see AJ go over cleanly to solidify himself here as a major player to come, even though everyone knows what he can do already. But let's make sure the WWE, standing, they know he's the guy.
I'm gonna go with AJ too. With the rumors going around, Cena's gonna take a couple months off. How can you have a guy win and then leave unless he wins and then there's a beatdown? Don't see that happening. I see AJ actually wins it clean. I don't see any interference from the club or anyone. I think it's gonna be a clean win for AJ Styles, and then I think Styles with this win will move into the title picture, which we're gonna talk about now.
Are we going to the?
Yeah, you like that little segue there, didn't you?
I liked it. I liked it.
We're
I'm
gonna start
about it.
talking WWE World Championship: Dolph Ziggler versus Dean Ambrose.
I'm gonna let you go first here, Matt. I want to hear where you go with it.
I've been thinking about this long and hard. You got Ambrose, who right now is getting heat from backstage because of what happened with the Stone Cold podcast. And then you have Dolph Ziggler, who hasn't been around major championships since he had that, semi, not really title match, but with the last champion he fought was Triple H before WrestleMania. We all know about that. I'm gonna go with Dean Ambrose. I don't see him losing the title. The fans are behind him. Everyone loves him. Even with the heat, we still seen superstars get the win. So I'm gonna say Dean keeps the title on his waist, and then we're going to see a good old-fashioned Ambrose versus Styles feud. But I think there's going to be some controversy in this match, and I do believe we're going to see Bray Wyatt somewhere in this match try to interfere and try to put himself in this title picture once again. They've been teasing it for the past 4 weeks since Ziggler's won the number one contender. So I'm going to go with Dean Ambrose. Clean win, but somewhere along the line, Bray Wyatt's going to do something in this match.
Uh, Man, I really want to continue here and say Dean Ambrose wins, and I think he should. But there's a part of me that wants to say Ziggler wins, man. Especially after they're saying there's heat on Ambrose now because of the podcast with Stone Cold, the comments he made about creative and especially about Lesnar. They've built Ziggler up great since that match and that six-pack challenge. They've made it out to be that he is a credible contender. And I feel like this feud could continue. But like you said, with the impending feud of Ambrose and Styles looking like it's going to be next, I don't have Wyatt invading in this match and causing any kind of disruption. I do have Ambrose winning though, and it was really close, man. I really wanted to go with Ziggler, but I don't think they're going to have Ambrose lose the title yet. I think they're going to let Ambrose continue holding the title through the next pay-per-view at least.
All right, so we both agree there.
Yeah.
All right, so now we're coming down to the second to final match of the evening. We have the WWE Universal Championship. I mean, if anything, that should be Zack Ryder's title. He is, obviously, the man on the
internet
internet.
champion.
Yeah. But we have Finn Balor versus Seth Rollins. We have the Demon King versus Seth Rollins. Anthony, I'm going to let you take this one first.
Another match that you and I have talked about since it got announced, and one of my friends said it best. They made this match with the fans not knowing who to cheer for, because Rollins is a bad guy, but how many fans do you know that love Seth Rollins' in-ring work, that think that he's awesome? Exactly, no matter what his heel status is. But then on the other token, you have Finn Balor, who is a face and who has become a huge star here in NXT, and now he's translating over to Raw, and they're making him into a main event already on SummerSlam to crown the first ever WWE Universal Champion. The Demon King is going to show up to SummerSlam on Sunday. And I hate to say this, Matt, but the Demon King is walking out of SummerSlam with the WWE Universal Championship. And it really, really, really pains me to say it because I would love for Seth Rollins to walk out champion. I really would. But unfortunately, I don't see them not letting Finn Balor win in his debut on pay-per-view.
I am going, you know what my feeling on this is, and I'm going to agree with you. I have the Demon King Finn Balor winning. I think it was great that he debuted his demon persona on Raw to give everyone who hasn't seen him like that, like a little insight. And it's almost like, wow, I got to get this pay-per-view now. Now, real quick, are the pay-per-views still on TV or are they exclusively to the network now?
I think you can still buy them. It just depends on if the carrier holds it anymore, like
Okay.
DirecTV or whoever the cable company is, if they still carry them. But as far as I know, yes, you can.
Okay, so anyway, that could incite people to be like, whoa, what's this guy? But I got Finn Balor winning, great in-ring performer. The new era, like we said, he was drafted third for a reason. And I can't, I mean, as much as, we both love Seth Rollins in-ring work, I got to go with Finn Balor's in-ring work is even better. So I'm going to go with Finn
I
Balor.
don't know. Let's not get crazy.
I'm not getting
Let's
crazy,
not
but
get crazy.
I'm going with Finn on this. I love the build up for him. I love everything that's been going on for him. And I think this is what Triple H has wanted since he's brought all these guys in NXT for finally one of his guys, obviously Seth Rollins, whatnot. But, Seth came, he was in FCW first, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Finn started in NXT. There was no FCW. He came in before that. It's almost like this was Triple H's, project from the moment NXT started coming around. This is the guy he brought from New Japan. He's not that young, obviously because he's been going around, but I think this is one of his prize projects coming from New Japan or whatnot. And I have Triple H, writing in pencil that Finn Balor wins this match, obviously, because, they like to put certain people over, and I got Finn Balor winning this, hands down. No
My
outside
reason.
interference, nothing from the
No.
club, no one, hands down, clean win. And, yep.
No, I agree. I don't want to make sure it's known that my reasoning is not the same. It's not because I think Finn is better than Seth, because I happen to think Seth is better. Not knocking Finn. I just personally think I like Seth's in-ring work better than Finn. Finn's awesome as well. Um, but I think they're going to let Finn win in his debut, especially since, was it last year when this, was it, I can't remember what happened. Was it last SummerSlam where yeah, it was last SummerSlam where Seth became the first person to hold the WWE World title and the
Yeah,
United
thanks
States
to
title
John
to
Stewart.
Jon Stewart. So I don't think that we're going to have history repeat itself 2 years in a row. I think they're going to let Finn. That's another reasoning to my, why I went with Finn, but can't wait. Still can't wait to see the match.
All right, here we go. The final match of the evening. Randy Orton versus Brock Lesnar. Anthony, go right ahead.
This match to me is something I've wanted to see, since I was younger. I mean, this is when I first, I used to watch wrestling when I was a kid. This is when I was starting to get a little older, where I started to understand it a little bit more. Was in this like 2000s, range, when I could start like getting more of it and getting into it a little bit more. And Randy Orton's been my favorite guy since he probably a little after when he really started to hit his stride was when he joined Evolution. That's when I really was like, oh man, this guy's gonna be, a big star here for years to come. And Brock Lesnar, you just saw him I remember when he came out on Raw one night during a hardcore match and just started just thrashing everyone in the ring. I think it was Spike Dudley. He did like that power bomb where he slammed him down and then kept him on his shoulders and then slammed him again. He put him like through a garbage can. And I just remember watching it, just being like, man, this guy is the most, destructive force that I've seen ever in the WWE, and it still stands true today. He's the most destructive force in the WWE. He ended the Undertaker's WrestleMania streak at WrestleMania 30. Everyone was a little upset, but if you look at what happened since that match, they've made Lesnar out to be, like I just said, the most destructive force. There's no one that could beat him. His matches he's had, he might have lost a match, but he didn't get pinned or submitted in the match. He's lost matches. He lost his WWE World title because Seth Rollins cashed in and then curb stomped Roman Reigns. So since then, we haven't seen him lose. I'm sorry, we saw him lose once at SummerSlam, and it was to The Undertaker in a rematch, and even that was kind of on the fence with how he won the match. So my prediction, now saying all that, is Brock Lesnar goes to Viperville, and Randy Orton is victorious at SummerSlam. The Viper versus the Beast, 15 years in the making. Randy Orton gets the victory going away from it.
I am going to agree with you, but I'm adding a twist to mine. I'm going to say Randy Orton obviously will hit the RKO out of nowhere, as we saw him do on the Raw the first time he came over for the first ever cross promotion. But I feel like there's someone in New York this week. There's someone who's in New York. His name is Bill. Bill Goldberg's in New York this week, isn't he? Didn't they
Oh
confirm that?
no.
They said he was in New York,
Don't.
didn't he?
Yes.
And didn't Brock Lesnar come out and say, "I'll take you to Suplex City"? Wasn't that recently?
Yes. That was recent.
He did, didn't he? What happened the last time Brock and Lesnar had? I mean, Brock and Bill had a feud. Didn't Bill cost Brock something? Cost him the title, I believe, didn't he?
It's been a minute. I don't remember, but it sounds about accurate.
I know you want to make this a clean finish. I know you want to do as much as you can, but with those two going at it, Vince McMahon, what does he see in his eyes whenever he sees something like this?
Dollar signs.
Dollar signs. And what bigger dollar signs than you see Goldberg returning to face Brock Lesnar? How big could that be for the company, maybe?
Here's the thing, man. Do I really want to see that match? I saw it at WrestleMania 20. Both of them left the company
But here's the
after the
thing. Here's the
match.
thing. There's the key. They were leaving the company. They knew it. What about a match where neither one of them? This isn't a one-term deal. This is where you win this, you could go on to something else, and maybe they could
This is their
actually.
first match in their new contracts.
What do you
type thing.
think?
I think it's plausible. I've heard one of my friends at work told me the same thing. He said Goldberg shows up, but then on the same side, I think Wyatt shows up. This is where he shows up and costs Randy Orton a match to finally conclude that feud, since that started before Orton got injured 10 months ago before he left. So that's the other thing I see. I think Goldberg showing up is a long shot. I really do. I just don't think Goldberg wants to come back. I think he keeps talking about it, but it always comes down to him not wanting to do it because him and Triple H don't see eye to eye on something. So I think the more likely, if there is interference, it will be Bray Wyatt. I really hope it's just Randy Orton wins and Bray
I
Wyatt
mean, I'm
doesn't
with you. I
cost
hope
Orton
it's
the
a clean
match.
finish, but I feel
Yeah.
like you said, it could be Bray. You could say it could be Bray. I'm gonna say it could be Goldberg, but I'm still gonna have Randy Orton winning with just one RKO. That's all it's gonna take. One
With
RKO.
just one? No.
Just one
way.
RKO. Like he says, it
No.
only takes one.
To get the Viperville. Just I don't know if the one RKO is going to seal the deal.
All right, but I'm gonna go with Randy Orton as well.
Okay.
And
Now,
also, real quick before we, not non-SummerSlam news, I think Vince came out and said he sold 20, almost 30 million WWE stock today. So that's very interesting.
$30 million worth of stock. Yep.
Yeah, so see what happens with that. But yeah, that's our previews for.
Well, no. Start. Who's your match of the night?
Oh, that's right. God, I keep forgetting.
You got 11 to choose from.
Enzo and Cass versus Jericho and Kevin Owens.
Wow. Wow.
Yours?
Finn and Seth Rollins.
Superstar of the night.
Too many to choose from, man. Let's say the emergence of the Demon King.
Randy Orton.
I like it. I like it.
I think since he's come back, his in-ring work looks better than what it was 15 years ago.
Wow. That's a bold statement right there.
His charisma, everything. I don't know what they did with him. I don't know if he just had like a reamp of his career or something, but it seems like he looks like better than what he did 10 years ago.
All right.
So yeah, so that's our previews, isn't it?
Yes, that is our SummerSlam preview. Like I said again, cannot wait to watch SummerSlam. It's a stacked card. Those four last matches we talked about, all main event caliber at any show, anywhere. Cannot wait for Sunday. Even Saturday, but Sunday especially. 15 years in the making, Matt. We're finally going to get to see it.
That's pretty awesome.
Yep.
Nice.
So I think that's gonna do it. What do you think?
Yeah. We will say now, Matt. I know we talked about it, but Matt can officially say that he got his new job, that he will be starting
Yay.
soon. So we should be back to a more regulated Monday night shows
That's
going
okay with our
forward.
producer.
Yeah,
Of
we're going to
course, yeah.
discuss it. It hasn't been officially, discussed yet, but we will return this Monday after SummerSlam. Is that a go?
For me,
Paul?
it is.
Yeah, I'm always good on Monday nights, man. So
All right.
it's
So this Monday,
it's a green light from me.
we'll be back in our normal night, probably around the same thing, 6:30 to 7 start time,
Shipe
and we
Sports
will
Talk is back on its normal night as well.
on Tuesday. So definitely keep your eyes out for both of those shows going forward, and we're very
And the
excited.
Crazy Talk podcast from Paul.
That's it. And with that, segue right to Paul. Paul, take it away. Say
Thanks,
what
man.
you got.
So, right. So, thanks for watching. Thanks for streaming. Thanks for listening. Thanks for Emmanuel, who was on the chat room today. Um, yeah, we'd love for you to go ahead and follow us on all our social media, socials, I guess. So, at Twitter, it's at OT3Podcast1. You can send us emails at ot3podcast@gmail.com. And follow us, like us on Facebook, Facebook.com/ Off the Top Turnbuckle. And we actually did our very first Facebook live stream today. So in parallel to the YouTube stream. So I think it turned out okay. I'm anxious to kind of go back and take a look at it and see how it came through. But I think it did all right. So if you're a Facebook super fan, then you'll be able to watch us there or on live on YouTube. Either way, you can comment and chat in the chat room for YouTube or comment in the comments underneath the Facebook post, and we'd love to hear from you. So that's pretty much it. I'm glad we're back on schedule now. So look forward to the episodes on Monday nights here.
Oh no! I actually, before you do that, Paul, I would like for you to. I know we always talk about obviously OT3 on here because it is OT3, and we've talked about Tell them a little bit about your show if you don't mind. Let some of the viewers know, so maybe they'll be able to tune into your podcast as well.
It's It's called the Crazy Talk Podcast. It's crazy with a K. So if you go to the website crazytalk.com, we have all the podcast episodes there. We don't stream live on video or anything like that. We do stream live through like an audio source, which is called like Mixler. So you can hear us live. But yeah, it's just a bunch of 4 friends. Sometimes we have guests come in and talk about stuff. You know, we just kind of talk about what's going on in the news or whatever. We laugh. We have our scotch. Oh, I'm not on video. Otherwise, I'd be holding up our different drinks, a little bar that we have back here while we're doing the show. And so it makes it interesting. And it's funny. Sometimes it gets serious or whatever. So it's just we got a couple characters on there that are pretty funny. So it's a good kind of like round table, discussion of just old friends kind of having fun here. So on a guys' night. So we usually do that, and then we head out to go get some beers and wings at Buffalo Wings and Beer. So yeah, it's usually it's pretty
For those
much.
who don't know, Buffalo Wings and Beer is a great place, and they sponsor the Shipe Sports Talk show. It's a great place. Anthony, if you ever come up this way, I'll have to take you there. It's a great place.
Yeah.
We'll
So
see.
anyway, so that's pretty much what it is. It's just guys' night. We record the podcast, and then we go out and have some fun. So it's entertaining.
Excellent.
Mhm.
Well,
Right on.
Paul, if that's all you got, Matt, you have anything else you want to add?
Nope. I just want to say, look forward to us OT3 Monday nights, Shipe Sports Talk on Tuesday nights, and Crazy Talk on Wednesday nights. All of us have something that we're doing every night.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
So definitely stay tuned for everything, and you will see us back here again, and not too far off. Monday night we'll be back here for OT3, episode 19, to recap a great SummerSlam weekend that's ahead of us. So I want to say thank you to everyone that's watching tonight and every other week. If you didn't get to catch it live with us tonight, as Paul said, check us out on our YouTube channel, subscribe, watch our episodes back. If you're a new follower to our channel, go back and watch some of our original episodes. Give us some feedback. Let us know what you want to see, what we could change. Matt, why don't you give them an update, too, on what the fantasy score is after 3 weeks, real quick?
I have it You know what? I have it on the Facebook page. It's not looking pretty for me, that's for sure. For some reason, all my guys keep
Just give him a
losing.
score.
It is. Anthony is leading Matt 41-5.
To 5. Oh man. Holy crap.
I figured we'd add that one in there real quick before
But what I'm
we,
thinking about doing is once the turn of the year comes around, like at the Royal Rumble during January, I have a couple people who are also interested in joining. We have James interested. I'm sure we can get Bojo or Justin, maybe expand it to
Vinny.
a 5-person league
if anyone want to be in. So
and see what we can go from there. So we're going to try to expand it a little bit. This is like our trial run towards the end of the year. And then once the new year begins in January, we're going to try to expand this.
excellent.
Cool.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. And like Paul said, for any of you that watch it on Facebook, the live stream, that was our first live stream on Facebook tonight. So we hope you enjoyed. I know I saw a couple people like the links and comment on there. We appreciate the feedback and we appreciate you guys getting, talking to us. So we'll leave it at that. I hope everyone has a great rest of the night, a great weekend. Enjoy TakeOver, enjoy SummerSlam, and just enjoy the rest of your week, everybody. Paul,
Right.
Matt, it's been a pleasure. Have a great rest of the night, guys, and good night, everybody.
Have a good night, everyone.
See ya.